If you like what you're seeing and hearing right now, then great, because I'm going to show you how you can achieve the exact same thing by giving you a tour of my super simple YouTube studio setup. So let's start out by talking about the audio, and I am using the Shure MV7 on the Rode PSA1 boom arm, and I'm just going to get my little Go 3 to show you what I'm looking at. So as you can see, I've just literally got the boom arm attached to my desk just over here, which makes it really convenient to just pop in and out of the way when I need to record. And then the MV7 itself, I think honestly sounds awesome. I've been super impressed with it. It's not too expensive. You can get it for like $150 US thereabouts, and it plugs just directly into my MacBook Pro, and I just record straight into GarageBand. So it's actually really simple to use and straightforward. The downside is that the mic is in shot, but if you don't mind that too much, then I think the MV7 is an awesome option. Now, talking about the camera, so the camera I'm currently shooting on is the Sony a6600, and I've had this camera for maybe 2 years now, and I honestly love it. Like any camera in the Sony 6000 range, they're all really great cameras, like the 6400, the 6600, and there's a new one that was just released as well, and they're all honestly really great cameras. Can't recommend them enough because you get great image quality, but they don't cost too much money. On the front of it, I've got a classic Sigma 16mm, and the great thing about this is that it's a 16mm, which means it's quite wide. So I'm in a relatively small studio. As you can see, it's quite small, like it's definitely not massive, but the fact that it's a wide angle lens means my studio looks quite large, like it looks bigger than it actually does in real life. And the other big benefit to this is that it's got an aperture of 1.4, which means it enables you to get that really out of focus background, which is really nice and helps make your videos just look more professional, which is often hard to achieve on APS-C cameras like the Sony a6600. So for those two reasons, I'm a huge fan of this lens. Also, definitely recommend it. Now, when it comes to the tripod that the camera is sitting on, I've actually got a really basic, I think it's an Inca tripod that, again, I probably got this like 5+ years ago, because the thing is, you really don't need anything too fancy when it comes to a tripod. As long as it holds your camera up securely and safely and enables you to level out the camera, you really can't go too wrong. Now let's talk about lighting, because lighting is the thing that really makes the biggest difference when it comes to your own setup. So for me, right in front of me, I've got a Aperture 120D Mark II, and I've just got it sitting on a C-stand. And the benefit for me of having it on the C-stand is it means that I can just leave it set up all the time. Don't have to pack it down every time I stop filming or set it up. I just leave it set up all the time, and it is kind of on the bulky side, at least the softbox part of it is, but it's honestly an amazing light. Couldn't be happy with it. Now if you go and look up this particular model, it's still relatively expensive. I paid about $1,200. It might have been about $1,000 US, but since then Aperture Amaran have actually released some really good lights that are pretty much the same thing, if not even a little bit better, for only about $200 US, which is the Amaran 100D. I definitely recommend getting the Amaran 100D. Very similar to this light. And then when it comes to a softbox to put on that light, there's kind of two options. You can either get a similar light dome to this. I reckon the Light Dome SE is a really good option, and going the Light Dome route is a good pick if you want kind of a darker background like me, because it helps you to focus the light in one direction. The alternative is if you want a brighter background as well as making sure you're well lit, then the Aperture Lantern is also a good option, because it will light your whole scene really nicely and evenly. Now in terms of the hair light, which you can probably see here, so you've got a bit of this kind of gold accent on my hair. That's actually coming from a Lume Cube LED light, which I've got literally I've just got a pole standing on a light stand, and then the other end of the pole I've got just sitting on top of my bookshelf, and then I've literally just attached the light to that. And you don't need any sort of fancy rigging like this. You can literally just put this onto a light stand, or I could even just put it resting on my bookshelf to probably have a pretty similar effect. And having it shine down behind me on top of me, if I turn this light off, you can get a sense of what it's actually doing. So you can see it's just adding that bit of extra accent, which helps to separate me from the background. So I'll turn this light back on. So yeah, those two lights really makes a huge difference to my setup. And then behind me, I've just got a couple of practical lights. So over here, I have my classic neon cloud, which I've had again for probably like 3 years. Pretty much never turn it off, to be honest. And I think it just adds a bit of visual interest, bit of a pop of color in my background. And then on the other side, I have just a regular old desk lamp that. Once again, I've had that desk lamp for probably like 6 years or something like that. I've got a smart bulb in it so I can change the color temperature or the actual color of the bulb, but putting some lights into your scene just in the background can be a really nice way to just add some visual interest, just to spice up your frame a little bit. So yeah, that is pretty much my entire YouTube recording setup. As I said, it's actually really simple and easy to achieve. If you're keen to learn more ways of improving the production quality of your YouTube videos or online content, then make sure you subscribe to my newsletter, Create Better, where I share all of the information that I've learned over the past 3.5 years of how to make sure your videos look good. And if you want to see my entire studio, including my other desk and other gear that I've got in here, check out this video here. Other than that, I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you very soon in the next video.